Jessie Buckley, I'm coming after you.
Hi, I'm Charlotte, and you're watching One Nightstand with Bustle, a series where we ask our guests to talk about their 4 favourite books. Welcome in, Gillian Anderson.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, we're thrilled to have you here. Have you always been a big reader?
No.
Oh, interesting.
And I go through stages. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a gift that I give myself. Mm-hmm. And I don't give myself many gifts. No, but it's more, I only allow myself to read when I'm on holiday. And that's something I don't like. But one thing that happened a few years ago, which I never experienced, when my daughter, who's now just turned 30, and she suddenly had this epiphany that the world of books was her oyster. Mm. And I realized that I never had that. And I've still been slightly waiting for that moment where I keep thinking it's when I'm in the old people's home is when I'm going to make sure that I give myself that moment and just say, okay, I'm going to read all of Emily Dickinson. I'm going to read, that's my dream.
That's a great retirement that you've got like that there.
Yeah. Will I pull it off?
I mean, that's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so thrilled you've chosen 4 amazing books.
Yeah.
I thought we could start with one of the children's books, which is In the Forest by Marie Hall Etz. Yeah. Tell me about why you chose that book.
It's magical and mysterious and slightly haunting, but in a, like some of the best children's books have an element of hauntingness and to them. There was something, if I look back as an adult, probably something about the inclusivity of it, I think, and that any animal goes, and that he was just accepting of whoever wanted to join him could join him.
I thought that was what was so lovely about it, because it really made me think, this is a perfect book for children who might get left out, because it's the idea that everyone's like, can you hang on a minute, I'd like to come. Sometimes you just want to be like, you should just ask. Did you have a rich, like, imaginary interior life as a kid?
Yeah, I had a wild imagination. I didn't have an imaginary friend, but my mom was actually really good at reading children's books, and has always been, you go to grandma to read books to the kids, because she does voice. I mean, more than I do. I mean, she's amazing. Yeah, she properly does voices and completely gets into the story. My daughter asked her if she would continue to read to her in her mid-20s, and so once a week they go on FaceTime audio, and while my daughter, she's an artist, while she's making art, my mom reads to her, and they've moved on to, they've gone through so many multiple editions of books and stuff.
Your second book, one of the second books is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid, which also has a fantastic relationship and really interesting relationship between a small child and this child's carer. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about why you chose that book?
Yeah, it was a really impactful book. I found it shocking in the same way. I think, I'm trying to remember when I think it was, is it a 2019 book? Yeah. If I'm remembering, it's from 2019. So, around the time of COVID and Black Lives Matter and so it felt really important and poignant and profound at the time, just in terms of lessons learned and different ways to look at oneself and one's perception of race and identity, and the nature of sticky transactions in employer-employee relations, and
well-meaning bad actors in a way, because that the boyfriend, he ends up, and one of the things that I loved about the book is that you're sort of you're obviously rooting for Amira, because she's trying to work out what to do with her life in her 20s, but the boyfriend and the her boss, the mother of the baby, you're like, you sort of go up and down between who you think's a good actor and who's a baddie.
True. It's really complex.
Do you often read with a goal of finding things to adapt, or is it more of like a happy accident when it happens? Yeah,
that's a good question. I often look for stuff. I love casting things too, and opportunities for good actors, and particularly a diverse range of actors and nationalities. I like finding things that can potentially expand in people's understanding.
You get to basically live every reader's fantasy of like, because I'm always casting it in my head, in my imagination. Well, not like actually, just more being like, I imagine this person as lively or whatever.
Oh, it's not that easy.
No, how so? Just getting people available. At the right time.
But also sometimes they don't have a budget for certain people, so you have your imaginary version of, or they may not like the project, or they they may not trust the director that you might have already signed up to work on, or something. There can be so many things.
Have you ever done like a big persuading job to get someone on board that you're particularly proud of for any of your projects?
I did a series called The Fall.
Oh my god, I love that show.
Well, Jamie Dornan, who was a nobody, I was
living in the UK at the time.
Forceful about my recommendation as him being the one, and so I think that helped the discussions.
So which is your third book? What are you adapting?
So Coast Road.
Oh, I love that.
By Alan Murn. Is this the first time you reading it?
I just read it this weekend. I woke up at 5 a.m. to finish it.
Oh wow.
I loved it. I was into it.
It's a fabulous book, a debut novel. It just came out last year. It's a small town, Donegal, I think, and claustrophobic town. And Colette, and this is in the 90s in Ireland when divorce is still illegal. Let me say that again. In the 90s when divorce was still, and divorce is just not on the table. It's just not a possible thing. So you adapt, and you can adapt in relationship by sticking with something that really should finish. But also the resentment that builds up in relationships, because
there was this one incredible line in your book, one that I wrote down because it made me think of the characters, where it said, someone wrote, I'm resigned to a life of contentment, a happy life, no desires, just conformity. Maybe being married to your best friend isn't all that bad, which I think captures that sense of like that grey area, because in the end, spoiler alert, Izzy decides to sort of stay in her marriage, even though she's not like super happy in it, but she's sort of like decided in some way that it's more scary to walk away. And I just thought, God, women are always doing that calculation of like the risk benefit analysis in their relationships all the time. I felt like when reading it that all the female characters are like wanting to be known in a more real and authentic way, and it really made me think of in the intro to your book, you write about how sometimes there's a pleasure in staying unknowable to some people, and in some ways, and that tension between like what you want to be known and what you want to be unknowable. And I just wonder how you feel about that in your own life, and how you think about walking that line.
Well, interesting in relating it back to this book, Want, which is a collection of anonymous fantasies that women wrote in to me. We at Bloomsbury opened a portal so that women could send them in and keep their anonymity. And even the women who submitted letters are wanting to be known and knowable, even in their anonymity, right? But also Bloomsbury asking me to do the introductions, and realizing that was quite a sticky place, wanting to be as courageous as the women who contributed the letters, but at the same time knowing that if I reveal too much, it'll end up on the Daily Mail, and so not wanting that to override the attention that the book deserves because of all the women who submitted. And one of the ways was by talking through the characters that I've played, and making reference to whether it's Jean Milburn or Stella Gibson or Thatcher, or you'd wonder what what on earth would you be talking about Search for Fantasies around Margaret Thatcher, but read and you will find out.
Before we move on to your last book, any dream castings for the Coast Road?
Oh gosh, good question. Yes. I mean, okay, so I would love Jessie Buckley.
Oh yeah.
Potentially for Dolores.
Yes, something like that. It's escaping me too, but yes, she's pregnant and
with yet another child. Jessie Buckley, I'm coming after you. And for Izzy, Elizabeth Moss would be absolutely. I've wanted to work with her for a long time, so that would be dream casting for those two.
Amazing.
Come hither.
Fabulous. Oh, that'll be brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's good. It's a fantastic book, and really, really good women's voices written by a man.
Yeah.
And all very, very different and well drawn and multidimensional and
it's TV or movie?
TV.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Thanks.
So your fourth book is by Afua Hirsch. Tell me a little bit about why that was one of your favorites.
Again, after we're talking a lot about identity and race and politics, but also about the impact of colonialism on body image. And it's just something that I had never considered before. It felt like I felt like I was learning a lot in reading her book. An effort to examine the effects of Eurocentric beauty standards and to ask how we can extract ourselves from them. And she speaks to the fact that, particularly growing up in the UK in the 90s and the noughties, and how disordered eating was on trend, and how much that butted up against herself as a mixed race woman and with a mother from Ghana, and how body fat and girth and rolls, and that I think she refers to them as nature's necklace, and really, celebrating women how they are, as they are, in a way that so much of Western culture, and therefore, imprinting that as colonialists through other countries on different societies of how we're not okay as we are actually. In fact, there is a version of what is okay, and anything shy of that will be judged and humiliated and now trolled.
I loved that section about magic. Do you remember the bit where it talks about reconnecting with that? Are you into magic or sort of like things like that?
Not magic per se. I have spoken to psychics in my life.
I think psychics are great at helping you like recognize some repressed wants sometimes, because I've had people say things to me and I'll be like, absolutely not. And then sometimes they say things and you're like, oh my God, yes, it helps you like surface these things sometimes.
Yeah, fair enough.
It can be interesting.
Yeah.
And your book, Want, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I feel like that taps in perfectly to these sort of like finding your own desires.
Yeah. These are letters from women from around the world, and the opportunity to put pen to paper was an opportunity for them, no matter what their lives look like, but to take a moment in time to be creative. It's a safe space, it's a safe space to be able to say anything, do anything with whoever, and not be judged and not be taken advantage of. And I can't also help thinking that in this moment where we're having this conversation around the book, our stories, our voices, our lives, the ability to speak out, the courage to speak out, particularly at this moment when our voices and our rights in this country are being taken away in front of our eyes. What is the point of living in the land of the free? It's about choice and rights, and we're at a very serious turning point right now, and I think everyone knows it, and we need to take it really seriously.
I agree. I felt almost like a little bit sad reading some of the letters, just in the sense of all this like these sort of wishes that haven't been fulfilled. Did you watch I can't remember the Emma Thompson movie where she visits a sex worker?
No, I didn't see that. I heard it's amazing.
And it made me think, in any way do you think that women should be more open to that if it helps them feel like resolved? Because I just felt like there is this like aching, these like needs that aren't being met. Some of it, yes, is about recognizing and reckoning with the fact that one does, no matter what age, have desires that may feel unfulfilled, and so therefore what can you do in order to rectify that in some way, whether it's if it is in relationship and you're suddenly asking yourself, am I pleasured to the degree that I feel like I deserve to be pleasured? Or if I'm not,
do I actually feel that I don't deserve to be pleasured, and can I address that or write a little bit more about that to learn more about why that might be for myself.
I agree. And I think this is whenever I think of serious, I end up thinking of the opposite as well. And like I think there's some brilliant moments of levity in Want, and in Afro's book, and in The Coast Road. Izzy's hilarious. Like the one line in Want that I wrote down was like, "I'm happily married, full stop, I think." And I just, like, it's so like,
there's a lot of those. There's some really fabulous writing and profound writing and beautiful moments and vulnerabilities and you know, yes, a lot of sadness and way more shame than I would have expected. But a lot of joy.
Well, thank you so much for your books. They're 4 brilliant books, and I loved reading Want as well, and I'm so excited to see the joy that it brings to women everywhere.
Thank you very much.